Well done, you. May 4th, we're going to get farther into that than this is now. Meme comes due Monday. You can just email it to me. Just make sure that you explain it with 5 to 6 sentences. Make sure you create your own meme. Don't use a pre-made meme. Let's see, it's there. The tie game was Spider-Man. We're going to talk about it. Got points. Information, by the way, if you need to see this, it is on the front page of my website. You just go to BroviCast.com. It's kind of right there. Also my Twttin page where I have the audiobook file, which you don't have to worry about yet because you're still not reading on your own until next week sometime. And then the official homework, which won't be due until next week. We have time on that one too, but I'm just assigning it now. Every chance this will be the last homework assignment I give you. If not, then it'll be probably the second to last, but we're definitely getting down, so I don't have a whole lot left I plan on giving you in our last couple weeks. For the most part, reading and discussing is the main thing we do. I went and we did the whole talking about the undercover thing. I went and found pictures for the undercover stuff.
Is that actually pictures?
I typed in undercover cop, and those are the pictures that came up. I figured if you saw those, you'd be like, there's no way that guy's undercover, because it's way too obvious. And he's like, no, I got you. And then I also did, so we did the 3, who do they owe the money to?
Johnny, oh no, the bar guy.
The bar guy. Let's just back up. Who's the main character telling us the story?
Oh, no.
Ryan. Who's his best friend?
Mark.
Then Eminem.
Reading this
Mark
yesterday?
technically is.
Oh, I'm off by a book. That's never mind.
And then Eminem is the little kid. That's their little hippie friend.
That always eats it.
They're really weird boys.
And what does Brian describe himself as looking like?
Oh,
a nerd.
A
No, Ryan described. The
Shell.
shepherd.
Technically, because he adopted him. Because what happened to Mark's parents?
They
They killed each other. They shot each other while they were drunk.
They shot each other, and they do
And
go back to that. They tell that story later on. They shot each other in a fight.
That's not fun.
They do talk about the hippies, and that was Eminem. And we have another hippie coming up in a moment.
Wait, what's that?
I
want a lion.
Saint Bernard puppy. That's what it was. Not a cover bear.
Wait, they have a lion?
A guy who looks like a lion.
Oh, okay.
And then you have Eminem, who's kind of strange, who read the Newsweek. Then we got to Eminem, who has the big eyes like the war orphans, like the
Oh, yeah, she got pictures.
So I found pictures of those kids because you guys were talking about it. So I went to Google Pictures to add them to it. So now I have the new pictures on there. Eminem with the army jacket and the piece and the moccasins.
Irony.
And then we're just now. Did you just get past that?
Yeah, we got past hot wiring cars
We
and you're
did.
talking about your dad did that.
Oh,
How his dad's like an ex.
Wait, can you tell it again?
With this one, who is it that's good at hot wiring?
His dad. Mark.
Mark is good. So Mark's the one that's
He's on
really
probation.
good. But he's on probation because he got caught doing it before. But he's been a hot wiring car since he was 12.
No, I'm
and
13.
I think he said he was 12.
11.
I thought he said 13.
Who asked you?
Mark can hot wire anything ever since he was 12 years old, and Tessa was wrong. He'd hot wired. And so since he was
Yeah, Mr. Broviak, I was wrong.
sometimes I
People make mistakes.
usually it's me. I was just excited it wasn't me that time.
But
some people join the mistake club.
club.
Like sometimes I make the mistake of having my iPad on my desk. But
Everybody makes mistakes. I don't know what you're talking
Me
about.
either.
I'm finished.
What's that? Well, we're not anymore. That's past tense.
Just
What?
sit it down on the ground so then he can't see.
Then we got to this guy.
Yeah,
When the guy thought he
Uncle.
was Lord.
Eminem thought he was a poet or something because like he like had the same name. He was like Brian.
Getting ready to
How
talk
you told
about
us not to look that up.
which you probably still should not. I mean, you can, but you're going to clear your search history after you do.
what a limerick
Why?
Why is he? Is that what he says in this?
Yeah, he's getting ready to recite a dirty limerick, which once again, not something you should Google.
Okay, so someone Google Aaron. Google it.
I'll do it.
I got you.
I'll volunteer as tribute.
Google it.
I'll make your poor choices.
Can I
from
say
there.
Mr. Broviak took my
Hey,
iPad?
Broviak, do I need a VPN for it?
Probably.
I have VPN. Someone give me VPN.
Is it like a bad
I'm
drug
not
or
that
something?
Too far.
We're at the very bottom of page 17. If we pick up from there. I
I
almost shrugged and
Can I sit in
said,
a chair? Can I sit over there? Can I sit right there? No. Can I sit?
sometimes, because
I'm gonna get
then I take credit whether or not it was really due to me. I was like that. I'd also lie if I really thought I could get away with it, especially to girls. Like telling them I loved them and junk when I didn't. I had a rep as a lady killer, a hustler. I kept up the old Lord Byron tradition in one way. Sometimes I'd get to feeling bad, thinking about how rotten I treated some of these chicks. But most of the time, it didn't even bother me. Eminem, old buddy, Mark was saying, putting his arm across Eminem's shoulders. And yeah, you can't sit there, Perry. Back to your seat.
He's sitting by the trash though.
I'm sure he is, but that's why he's down to 8. He's going to yell at me again about why he keeps losing points.
He's probably trash.
If you want to, I can send you to the hallway, if that'd be easier on you.
No.
I sit in a chair. I'm not gonna bother.
Still no.
Dude,
I know, right? Eminem, old buddy, Mark was saying, putting his arm across Eminem's shoulders. I was wondering if you might be able to loan your best friend some money. You ain't my best friend, Eminem said with disarming honesty. But how much do you want? $3? I got 50 cents. Eminem reached into his jeans pocket, pulled out a couple of quarters. Here you go. Forget it, I said. Me and Mark looked at each other and shook our heads. Eminem was unbelievable. Nah, that's okay. I'll get 50 cents again next week for babysitting. Is that all you get paid for watching all those kids? 50 cents? I couldn't get over it. 50 cents a week? No, I think it's enough. I don't mind taking care of the kids. Who's going to do it if I don't? Both my parents work, so they can't do it. Anyway, I like my family. When I get married, I'm going to have at least 9 or 10 kids. There goes the population explosion, Mark said.
that's gonna be his kid.
Well,
M&M's are good.
Eminem's are the best.
now that your sister's home.
You wanna put it in the glass?
Remember back when I said we didn't get through as much of the book with you guys as my other class?
Yeah. Hey, why'd you take my book?
Wait, a limerick is can I start here? Wait, can I just start here? A limerick is a bad.
Okay, I want it.
Hilarious.
Frequently. I hope you're not charging me because I'm.
I don't even know how to say that.
Yeah, that's charging you points again. That's why you're down to 6. You're racing that kid. And then this kid over here talking, and then that kid over there talking, and us trying to get. Not really. It's okay. Yeah. That's the talking part. I know. I think it's enough. I don't mind taking care of the kids. Who's going to do it if I don't? Both my parents work, so they can't do it. Anyway, I like my family. When I get married, I'm going to have at least 9 or 10 kids. There goes the population explosion. Well, now that your sister's home, she can do a lot of the babysitting, I said, trying to be careful. Eminem could tell we thought he was crazy. Kathy's got a job after school. She can't help. I don't know what I have to do to convince you that I don't mind it. Okay, I'm convinced. I was also tired of the subject and had got to worrying about how we were going to get $3 before tomorrow. Charlie didn't get his rough rep or his bar by being nice to people, and especially ones who couldn't pay their bills. By the time we got to the bowling alley, it was 10 o'clock. There weren't many people there. Mark and I watched a few games while Eminem stared into a package of M&Ms. I finally got bugged about it and asked him what in the Sam Hill was he doing. Take a look. He handed me the package, which was open at the top. Put it right up to your eye. I did. All I saw was a bunch of candy. It's beautiful, ain't it? I mean, look at all the different colors. Yeah, I agreed, thinking, if I didn't know this kid better, I'd say he was high. Let me look, said Mark. So I handed him the package. Hey, this is groovy. Look at all the colors. He gave the candy back to Eminem, looked at me, and then shrugged. Eminem got up. I gotta go home now. I'll see you guys later. By the way, that's why I had the package of M&Ms up there, so we finally got to that part.
That looks
it's gonna
so
freak
good.
you out so much if I see a picture of it.
But they're
I've
good,
now
though.
learned.
I'm just saying that
More kids.
Eminem got up.
are better.
I gotta go home now. See you guys later. We just got here, Mark objected. Yeah, well, I just came along for the walk. Now I gotta go home. I watched him leave. The kid's weird. That's all there is to it. Mark lit up a cigarette, our last one, so we had to pass it back and forth. I know, but I still get a kick out of him. Come on, let's go catch up with him. There ain't nothing to do around here. Outside, I spotted Eminem at the corner. There were 3 guys trailing him. When you see something like that around here, you know right away, somebody's about to get jumped. In this case, it was Eminem. Come on, Mark said, and we cut through an alley so as to come up behind those guys. Did you want to say hi to your dad before I send him the link to the video? What's up?
No, really good.
Still, hold on
No,
to it. I know.
no, please before it happens.
It's too hard. Write it down.
No, you're gonna remember it. I think you're gonna be like, oh yeah.
Outside, I spotted Eminem at the corner. There were 3 guys trailing him. When you see something like that around here, you know right away, somebody's about to get jumped. In this case, it was Eminem. Come on, Mark said. And we cut through an alley so as to come up behind those guys. 3 against 3. The odds would have been even, except Eminem was one of those non-violent types who practiced what he preached, and me and Mark weren't carrying weapons. We slowed down to a walk when we came to the end of the alley. I could hear the voices of the three guys who were following Eminem. I recognized one of them. "Hey, Flower Child, turn around!" They were taunting him, but Eminem just kept right on moving. "It's Shepard," Mark whispered to me. We were waiting at the end of the alley for them to come by. They didn't. They must have had Eminem up against the wall. We could hear him. "Hey, hippie, don't you answer when you're spoken to?" "That ain't nice." "Curly, why don't you leave me alone?" Eminem sounded very patient. I moved over to the other side of the alley, just in time to see Curly pull out a switchblade, reach over, and cut through the rawhide string on Eminem's piece of it. It fell to the ground. Eminem reached down to pick it up, and Curly brought his knee up sharply and hit Eminem in the face. Me and Mark looked at each other. Mark flashed me a grin. We both liked fights. We ran out and jumped on him. The one we didn't get took off, which was a wise thing for him to do since we'd surprised him. It wasn't too hard to get them pinned. I had Curly Shepard in a stranglehold with one arm twisted behind his back, while Mark had the other guy pinned on the ground. By the way, we should know the name Curly Shepard. From way back in Outsiders, he was technically in the book. His brother Tim Shepard was the one that was leader of the Shepard gang, who was the ones who got in the fight with Dally, then shows up for the Rumble. Curly Shepard was the one that Tim talks about robbing a liquor store, then going into like the juvenile hall or something like that. It was also the one that Ponyboy tells a story about how he and Curly held cigarettes against their fingers to see what the biggest wuss was. So he was sort of in the first book. They mentioned him a couple times.
Do we ever hear or anything about Curtis boys in here?
Ponyboy shows up. He's not by the chapter or so. Seth.
No, like, it was actually, you know, I was like a kid, and they're like getting ready to jump him. But I was like Dally, and like maybe it's because like he jumped kids.
Yeah, I guess. Nope, not this time.
And like
different
they were
one.
in the same book.
Still hoodlums though.
I thought it was like.
"How'd you like a broken arm, Shepard?" I said through gritted teeth, careful not to loosen my grip. His switchblade had fallen on the sidewalk, but I didn't know what all he might be carrying. He liked to play rough. "Okay, you proved your point. Let us go, Douglas." Curly said a few more things that I'm not going to repeat. He must have figured out who it was twisting his arm when he saw Mark. Me and Mark were always together. Curly had a special grudge against me anyway. I used to go with his sister, but she says she broke up with me, which was the truth. But I was spreading it around that I broke up with her and was giving all kinds of cool reasons. Curly was a little dumb. I mean, he belonged to a gang led by his brother Tim, known as the Shepard Gang. Really original. Tim was all right. At least he had a few brains, but I considered Curly a dumb hood. "Look, we didn't hurt him." That was a lie. Eminem was sitting there against the wall, and already his cheek was swelling up and turning purple. He was trying to tie the ends of the rawhide string together, and his hands were shaking. "Let him go," said Eminem. "I'm okay." I gave Curly's arm an extra twist for good measure, and then gave him a shove that almost sent him sprawling. Mark let the other guy up, but when he was almost to his feet, Mark gave him a good swift kick. They left, cussing us out, partly in English and partly in sign language. Sign language, you're number one?
Oh.
Mark was helping Eminem up. "Come on, kid," he said easily. "Let's get you home." The whole side of Eminem's face was bruised, but he gave us one of his rare, wistful grins. "Thanks, you guys." Mark suddenly laughed. Hey, look what I got." He waved 3 $1 bills at me. "Where'd you get that?" I asked, although I knew good and well where he got it. Mark was very quick. Nobody had to teach him how to hotwire a car or to pick a pocket. It was a donation for the cause. This was an old joke, but Eminem fell for it. "What cause?" "'Cause we owe it to Charlie," Mark said, and Eminem almost laughed, but instead winced with pain. I was really feeling good. I could quit worrying about Charlie's beating us up. Mark suddenly poked me. "Hey, you still in the mood for a little action?" "Sure," I said. Mark motioned toward the next intersection. There was a black guy standing there waiting for the light to change. "We could jump him," Mark said. But suddenly Eminem spoke up. "You make me sick! You just rescued me from some of those guys who were going to beat me up because I'm different from them? And now you're going to beat up somebody because he's different from you? You think I'm weird? You're the weird ones!" Both Mark and I had stopped walking. We were staring at Eminem. He was really shook up. He was crying. I could have been more stunned if he'd begun to dissolve. You don't see guys crying around here, not unless they have a lot better reason than Eminem had. He suddenly just took off, running, not looking back. And I started to take a few steps after him, but Mark caught me by the arm. Leave him alone. He's just all uptight from getting jumped. Yeah, I said, that made sense. That happened to me before. I have to remember how scared it can get you. Besides, Eminem was only a kid. He just turned 13. Mark picked something up off the ground. It was Eminem's peace medal. It must have dropped off when Eminem started running. He hadn't tied the ends of the string together very well. Hey, remind me to tell him I have this, Mark said, stuffing the medal and the string in his pocket. Let's stop by and give this $3 to Charlie before I buy some cigarettes with it. Okay, I said. I didn't feel quite as good as I had before. I was thinking about what Eminem had said about beating up people because they were different. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, the rich kids in town used to drive around over in our part of the city and just look for people to beat up. And then like a year or so ago, a couple of kids got killed in that mess, and the fad slowly died out. But there were still gang fights around here, and social club rumbles, and things like shepherds jumping Eminem happened every day. I didn't mind it much, unless I was the one getting mugged. I mean, I liked fights. Come on, Mark called. Maybe there's somebody to hustle in Charlie's. I grinned and ran to catch up with him. Mark was my best buddy. I loved him like a brother. By the way, what are they referencing that part about? There you go. Yeah, the rich kids coming over into town, and then a year or so ago, a couple of kids got killed. It's all fun and games until you stab a kid in the gut and he bleeds out.
Have you ever done that, Mr. Rovic?
He
Not
almost
and-
stabbed me.
Not and got caught. No.
That was a fake man.
He said
Yeah,
not
it
and
was
got
definitely
caught.
fake. The next afternoon, after school, Mark and me went downtown to the hospital to see my mother. She just had a big operation, one that cost a lot of money. We'd sold our car, an old Chevy, our TV, a little black and white job, and anything else we could find to sell, but we were still short on money. I'd been trying for weeks to find a job. Mark scrounged around and came up with some money. I didn't ask him where he got it. He didn't tell me, so I figured he stole it somewhere. Mark was really bad about stealing things. He stole things and sold them, or stole them and kept them, or stole things and just gave them away. It didn't bother me. He was too smart to get caught. He'd been stealing things since he was 6 years old. I wasn't above taking a pack of cigarettes from a drugstore, but that was about it. I was the hustler, Mark was the thief. We were a great pair. One thing about it, though, Mark couldn't see anything wrong with stealing stuff. I could. It didn't much matter to me whether or not Mark was a thief, but I still felt that stealing was wrong. At least, it's against the law. I think Mark's only dimly aware of that fact. Stealing was a game to him, something to do for fun and profit. And he was careful not to get caught because that was one of the rules. That's how we lived, stealing stuff and selling stuff, trying to save money and eat at the same time. I never thought about it then, but I can see now it was a pretty rough time for us. And that's one of the things we're going to get into is the fact that Brian lies all the time. That's what he does. He hustles, he lies, it's just part of his nature. Mark steals all the time. Mark just enjoys stealing things and he's really good at doing it. So like the thief and the liar is sort of how they work together. Anyway, Mark and I hitched a ride almost all the way to the hospital. The guy who gave us a ride was a hippie with long hair and a beard and a Volkswagen bus. Those are the Volkswagen bus
He
things.
doesn't have a beard.
I know, I didn't find a good hippie with a beard. Use your imagination. Squint one eye. Look, those buses are very big with hippies. I don't know why. The guy said his name was Randy, that he went to college in town, majoring in English. I figured he was a pretty brave guy. Mark and I looked like tough guys. I mean, the kind who go around jumping hippies, which we've done once before. We'd gone over to the city park, where the hippies hang out, just to beat up somebody. I wouldn't do it again, though. I hadn't realized those guys refused to fight back, and what happened to the one we got hold of, it made me sick. Mark felt the same way, so after that, we kind of left him alone. We recognized Randy, because that is... So, she was Bob's friend. Last time we saw Rand in The Outsiders, what was he saying about fighting?
He doesn't
So what does he become?
Peace. Hippie.
He becomes a hippie. So that's also why it says that
Does he get a beard too?
Randy was a pretty brave guy because he picked them up because Randy knew Pony Boy, so he's not really scared of the kids on the scary side of the street, so that's why Randy picked him up. Randy was telling us about this really cool house where a bunch of his friends lived. It was an old house they all rented, and everybody who wanted to could live there and groove in peace and goodwill. I didn't much believe them. There had to be a few sponges in a setup like that. And living with a bunch of people would get on my nerves, especially if they were hairy and dirty. But I was polite and said, sounds cool, even though it didn't particularly appeal to me. Mark was interested though. Asked Randy all kinds of questions about where this place was and who all lived there and if he knew about any other places like that. Mark was interested in lots of things. He knew all about the Old West and was nutty about Warner Brothers cartoons, so it didn't bug me when he got all excited about hippie living. When we got out of the bus, Randy held up 2 fingers and said, peace. And Mark held up Eminem's peace medal, which was wearing around his neck as a joke, and made a wisecrack. Then we looked at each other and cracked up laughing. We weren't being hateful. It was just funny. I'm going to stop there because then it goes into meeting the mom. And our next big scene coming up introduces a big character.
Big character as in
Just
like
having a
big
day,
or
Seth?
like a character? Is it Ponzola?
Big as in an important scene.
Oh, am I not supposed to be reading ahead then?